Good morning, manna gatherers. It is Thursday, and today I am very thankful for Margie Raylander, who reached out to me to share her thoughts on Exodus 4:24 through 26, wanting, she told me, to be in conversation about this strange text. So today we will continue with Exodus 4:24 through 26, and with the help of Margie's insightful thoughts on these verses, we will dive a little deeper into these perplexing and yet rich verses. I hope being with a few verses that many of us would otherwise have skipped over the last couple days, being with these verses has given you the courage to sit with other enigma texts, pausing long enough to discover multiple perhaps interpretations, and in those multiple meanings finding God's good stuff. I've been very surprised by the good stuff that has surfaced from Exodus 4:24 through 26. I only intended to be with these scripture verses for Monday and go on to other perplexing texts, but they are very rich indeed, and sitting with them this long, more and more meaning surface. On Monday, we remember that we are not alone. On Tuesday, we remember that we are God's covenant people. A lot of promise and hope in that reminder of being God's covenant people. And yesterday, we remember and we gave thanks for people who willingly lay down their lives for us, making sure no harm comes to us. Let's see what good stuff God has for us today in Exodus 24 through 26. Hear these words in the MEV, the Modern English Version of the Bible. At a lodging place along the way, the Lord met Moses and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and threw it at his feet, and said, "Surely a bloody husband are you to me." So God let him go. Then she said, "A bloody husband you are because of the circumcision." So both Margie Raylander and I have just read the Book of Longings. It is by Sue Monk Kidd. And so first of all, if you have never read anything by Sue Monk Kidd, the author of the Book of Longings, read everything of hers. You will not be able to put her books down, and you will be a better human because of her books, I promise. The Book of Longings is Sue Monk Kidd's most recent book, and it is a historical fiction, a novel imagining the years of Jesus's life that we really know nothing about, ages 12 to 30. She imagines Jesus married to a woman named Anna, and the book is more about Anna's relationship and, well, Anna as a person and her growth and Anna's relationship to Jesus than just a book about Jesus. It is a beautiful, thoughtful, stirring, and even fun novel. So I encourage you to read it. So Anna has an aunt, Yaltha, and Yaltha is her Anna's dad's sister, who comes from Alexandria, a rich place of culture and learning. And she comes from Alexandria, Yaltha does, to live with Anna and her wealthy family in Galilee. Everyone, if you read this book, you'll see that everyone needs a wise Yaltha in their life. Anyhow, there is a beautiful exchange between Anna, Yaltha, and Tabitha, a friend of Anna's, that I want to share with you that Margie pointed out to me in relation to our text from Exodus 4 today. So it's a conversation. "No, dear," Yalta said. "It's not meant to be a factual story, but it is still true." "I don't see how," Tabitha said, and I, Anna speaking, wasn't sure I did either. "I mean, the story can happen inside us," Yalta said. So two things I want to point out. First, not factual, but still true. And then secondly, the story can happen inside us. Margie suggests that these verses aren't factual, perhaps, in that God tried to kill Moses and Zipporah reached for a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son to save her husband, that didn't actually, literally, physically happen, but it is more about the story that is happening inside Moses and maybe even inside Zipporah and Gershom and Eleazar and even the Israelites. This is a story about letting go and moving into the new, trusting that God is leading us. God who says to Moses, and I will use the words of Isaiah 43 though, do not remember the former things and consider the things of old, for I am about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? God has told Moses he is going to do a new thing for Moses and the people called the Israelites. But Moses is having a hard time letting go of the life that he has built for himself in the desert with Zipporah and her family, who are now his family. But God says in these verses that Moses' family is even bigger than just this family in the desert. The scene in Exodus 4 is insight into an internal struggle or internal battle that Moses is having, wrestling with God, wrestling with his calling, Moses' calling, and what it all means for his life and his future. Margie points out that sometimes the fiercest fights go on within us. They are far worse than what we actually experience outside of our minds and souls. Margie texts me, "Let me fight, but don't make me wrestle with myself." The whole business of circumcision is an act of faith. And Moses needs to let go of what was, including all his insecurities and who he thought his family was, and step out in faith with God. The God who has promised to make a new covenant with Moses and connected Moses to a whole new bloodline of people. So did these verses in Exodus 4 literally happen? Maybe not. I would say probably not. So it is very possible, especially since these verses make note in verse 24 that all of this happened at night while Moses and his family were supposed to be sleeping. That's when dreams happen. So it might not be literal, a factual story of historical events that took place in such a lodging place outside of Egypt, but it doesn't matter. It is still true because it is the true story of what was happening with Moses, a wrestling match with God, the God who Moses probably felt like was taking him far away from his comfort, his familiar lifestyle and his routine, his family in the desert, to do a new, unknown thing. It was time for Moses to let it go and walk in faith with God, who called Moses to a new covenant full of so many promises, not just for Moses and his immediate family, but for a whole people group who currently found themselves oppressed. I absolutely love and appreciate this insight, and I am thankful for Margie Raylander for helping me to read these verses in this way, not factual, but still true. We all have such a story going on inside us. So I hope you will feel free to share more of your thoughts with me as we continue to plumb the depths of Exodus 4, 24 through 26 for 2 more days. I really thought this would only give us content for 1 day, and here we are a whole week with 3 verses, 3 strange and perplexing verses, but that we have gleaned a lot of good stuff. We will continue to do so Friday and Saturday. I will see you tomorrow.